Welcome, everyone, and thank you for joining our webinar today. We're glad you made the time and hope that this information will be of use to you and your organization. Today's topic deals with using Microsoft Cloud technology to make collaboration as efficient and secure as possible. I'd like to introduce today's speaker, Andre Gonzalez, the account executive for our Alaska region where Arctic IT is headquartered. He brings a varied technology background that helps his clients make sense of how to use the tools we will discuss today when the rubber meets the road. This is a half-hour presentation where we will initially describe some key Microsoft 365 cloud collaboration tools. Then we'll go into some core features and show off some reasons that set them apart from other cloud tools. Andre will also point out some exciting updates and leave you all some links to dive deeper. Make sure to use the questions box to enter any of your questions, and then we'll read them aloud at the end of the presentation. With that, I'll turn it over to Andre.
Thank you for the introduction, Brooke. Given all I've got to cover in the short time I've got for you, I'll dive right in and talk about what we can define as a cloud-driven workforce. I'm also going to stop my video feed until the end of the presentation, just looking for the button here, to make sure you have all your screen real estate, and so we can talk about this topic. In the current work climate, the biggest draw to working from the cloud is making yourself or your employees as untethered to an office and server hardware as possible. The software as a service model has become very commonplace, and the economies of scale make for less burdensome overhead in IT. Tools that once were only targeted for very large enterprises have found their way onto cloud software that even small companies can afford. There are several great collaboration tools and a number of ways to deploy an at-home work environment. Microsoft 365 has been the key to our success at Arctic IT. As a majoritarily remote workforce and as a Microsoft Gold partner. The Microsoft 365 set of tools include the Microsoft Office programs as well, as a host of cloud and web-centric programs that make work available to you wherever you may be in a secure manner. Today we'll be homing in on SharePoint, OneDrive, and Teams and how they interact, and what I've personally seen be of use for folks given these Microsoft collaboration tools. So let's start with SharePoint and OneDrive. You see their icons here, and I'm sure you've heard their names, but what are SharePoint and OneDrive? Some may think they're interchangeable terms, but these are two distinct offerings that are a part of some of the base software included in Microsoft 365. Organizations use Microsoft SharePoint as a secure place to store, organize, share, and access files and information from any device. All you need is a web browser, such as Microsoft Edge, Chrome, Firefox. The functions that have historically made it relevant to a company setting is the creation of intercompany websites. Even back when Microsoft tools were installed on a local server, companies used these SharePoint sites to have a landing page for collaboration, although with the data itself still living on your hardware back then. As for OneDrive, this is the Microsoft Cloud service that connects you to all your individual user files. It lets you store and protect your files, share them with others, and get to them from anywhere on all your devices through browsers, apps, and integrations. When you use OneDrive with an account provided by your company or school, it's sometimes called OneDrive for Work or School. It used to be known as OneDrive for Business, so you might still see it called that in some places. But depending on how you've previously heard them be described, you can see how it might be confusing to some. They do similar file storage tasks, but SharePoint is purpose-built for intercompany sharing, whereas your allocated OneDrive is like a hard drive space in the cloud. You can store all your personal files there. This workflow shift towards cloud repositories is one of the many reasons that Microsoft created Microsoft Teams. Microsoft Teams is an app that serves several purposes, and I personally think of it as sort of a graphical user interface for SharePoint and OneDrive with video chatting to boot. You can have conversations, collaborate, and organize your work all without having to leave the Teams screen. It works seamlessly with all of the other well-known programs in the Microsoft Office suite as well. And in the ensuing slides, I'll be discussing some of that. So quick recap, SharePoint is your intelligent intranet. OneDrive is anywhere access to all your files, and Teams is the hub for your teamwork. Teams makes use of these two file repositories in an intuitive and integrated way. Many think of Microsoft Teams as a program just like WebEx or Zoom, where you can host or engage in virtual meetings. I've been telling folks that that is just a gateway drug, so to speak. The program is much more robust, and I hope the information here will have you consider some of these powerful components. As an example, the virtual meeting function allows for remote control of another person's screen for real-time troubleshooting. There's a great whiteboarding function that, along with the chats that you have on the platform, are perpetually saved for the participants. You can chat with your collaborators or other users in and out of your organizations, depending on the settings applied to the program. You can interact with files that are saved to SharePoint and OneDrive through here, and your Outlook calendar is hosted right inside the program, making meeting creation and management a breeze. You can access all of what I've mentioned on the previous slide on the native Teams apps, both on desktop and mobile. If you don't have the program installed, you can still get to your data in the cloud from a new computer using a web browser and going to teams.microsoft.com. Now, this is the paradigm shift of Teams. They called it Teams for a reason. There are security and permission levels that you can set with Teams that can allow only certain people to join these subgroups in your organization, which are logically called teams. You can view your teams using the Teams icon on the toolbar. Teams contains channels, which organize different sections of work for those specific team members. Adding new team members to a team, leaving a team, hiding a team, adding new channels within a team, all those things can be accomplished using the ellipsis icon, the three little dots that are right by that section. Additionally, you can create a new team at the bottom of the Teams area. Once you start getting too many teams going, your most used teams can be pinned to the top for quick access. Hide the teams you have membership to, but don't interact with much by clicking Hide, which moves the team to a collapsed Hidden Teams area at the bottom. I have a lot more to say about using this system of organization in some upcoming slides, but those are the basics. Yes, virtual meetings are built into Teams, but I feel like we're pretty used to video chatting apps. I'm going to stick to what makes Teams stand out from the crowd. All I can say on this topic is that Microsoft Teams does this job well, with security built around the whole of Microsoft 365. You may have heard of Zoom bombing. That has caused all manner of embarrassment and disruption to virtual meetings. Zoom users across the world were affected by hackers or pranksters infiltrating private calls, often displaying adult content and hateful imagery to the attendees. The practice got so bad that one US court defined Zoom bombing as a federal offense, and Zoom was forced to significantly up its security process to protect users. That's something that Teams has not had to endure due to its security design. So, when you share your screen in this program during a virtual meeting, you've got a lot of collaboration tools at your disposal that you can't find elsewhere. As I mentioned before, you can do all the simple stuff such as sharing your camera and audio feed, as well as sharing your screen and computer sound. But the fact is that it's a Microsoft tool means that it's got the integrations with the rest of the Microsoft Office tool set that will become indispensable when you're collaborating with your teammates. You and your meeting attendees can have an Excel spreadsheet open within its native application to where you can collaborate on edits. Same thing with a Word file or a PowerPoint presentation. Speaking of PowerPoint, there's a robust PowerPoint presentation mode that I'll call out more about in an upcoming slide. You can take over the other person's shared screen by taking control of their mouse and keyboard for support or coaching. You can even open a whiteboard that you and your meeting attendants can jot their ideas into in real time. That makes things easier to comprehend. This whiteboard is saved to the meeting chat. That saves to OneDrive, so you can recall the whiteboard at a later time. When pressed to make use of Teams by an organization, users might first dip their toe into the chat function after virtual meetings. This persistent chat will allow you to quickly ping other members in your organizations, or if your program is set up this way, outside of your organization. As I mentioned, the chat is persistent, meaning that the data stays saved in your OneDrive space so that you can always go back to check on what may have been discussed or files that may have been shared there, right in Microsoft Teams. And as you see in the slide, there's a little picture of a GIF and other fun things that you can add to those chats to make communication more robust. Although similar, inside of your Teams channels, there's a posts section that you're first brought to when clicking on a channel in the menu. This is a persistent bulletin board that's basically a chat for you and the collaborators chosen to be a part of that team. Now, if you're still working out of emails, this is the slide that you came here to learn about. It's all about working together from a single source of truth seamlessly. If one of your teammates has been handling a matter on their own, but has unexpectedly needed to be away from the office, it may otherwise be difficult to scrape together where the project is in flight, or if the pertinent communication has been kept only in their email. Using the Teams platform allows a group to be aware of what step you're on and possibly jump in to be of assistance. All the associated files can be kept here as well. Additionally, the search function is amazing, and I'm going to point that out in a couple of slides. Now, every organization has their own way of logically creating teams that they would like to divide their workforce under. Some of you may be a small office, and really the goal is to split up topics, such as projects you're taking on with certain coworkers, possibly everyone. Or maybe the business segments that you all collaborate on. For larger organizations, they may see it fit to create teams for departments and have specialized teams that the leadership, executive, and administrative staff would be a part of. You may have a file structure already in your server that's working for you, where you're sharing files on your server. You can simply migrate that directly into Teams, maybe making the people that have access to certain folders teams now. Whichever way you choose to slice the pie, the governances of the data that will be a part of all of those teams are easily managed by the creation of the teams itself. The data that's shared on these teams lives in SharePoint, but you won't have to go out there to set up rules. You don't have to worry about going in and setting rules for who can see what, because all that stuff is done through Teams. Regarding the sharing of files, each channel creates its own subdirectory with access only granted to the folks on the team. In that channel, you can create folders, just like on a file share off of your server or a SharePoint file repository. When you open the files here, they'll be automatically saving to the cloud location, and multiple people can open the file for editing. If you don't want people stepping on each other's toes when collaborating on files, there are even ways to check out and check in files so that only one person can edit them at a time. Once the files are in there, you can access them from whatever platform you might be on. All right, I said I was going to talk about this. This is the search function. This is a feature that all my clients have been excited to hear about. When you search for something using the universal search function in Teams, it'll break your search into 3 subsections: messages, people, and files. It will use your search term, which in the example here is the word product, and to try to find messages you may have sent or received to a direct chat or to one of those persistent bulletin boards in the channels that you're a part of. So right through all those chats. It'll also search for any people you collaborate with that may have the search term in their name. Lastly, it will search all the files in SharePoint and OneDrive that you're interacting with here on Teams. Not only will it try to find the search term in the name of the file, but also in the actual body of the document. This is a huge help to find a file or message when you're having a hard time tracking it down. Maybe you only have an invoice number or a client's name. You're trying to track down a file. Teams will find it. Teams is fully synced with your Outlook calendar as well. If you create meetings in Teams, it'll show up in Outlook or vice versa. If you create it in Teams, it'll automatically include a Teams link so that the people that you invite can join you online at your suggested meeting time. This is an extra click in Outlook, but you can get it done there as well. But what's nice is you can see that calendar reflected on both sides. All right, I'm going to show you some additional little tidbits on Teams. Zoom used to have us beat on how many people you can display on the screen at one time. But now using the large gallery mode, you can have a grid of up to 7 by 7 on the screen at once, which, it's a bit busy if you ask me, but it's useful in some instances. And so we have that availability. In addition to that, there's Together mode. This uses the same technology that clips your head out and allows you to have a virtual background and puts you in one of several fun group settings. Sometimes it's nice to get together and jump into a virtual classroom, especially when working remotely for a long time. This screen grab was during a company meeting during the last Christmas. We were missing our shared office experience during the holidays, as many others were, and found this an interesting way to be together. Not everyone knows this useful function, but you can mention a specific person by using the @ symbol in the chat and beginning to type their name. It should pull from the choices of people that are a part of the team or chat. In this way, folks that have viewership to the conversation will know who your comment is directed towards. Additionally, that person will get a notification wherever they may have Teams open. If it isn't open for them, or if they don't interact with the message for a while, it will send them an email letting them know that you're trying to work with them. Another choice is to mention a whole team by typing the @ symbol and the word team in the associated channel. This sends a notification to all the team members in the same manner so that you can have swift attention to what you're reaching out to them on. Here's an invaluable one. When you're looking at the files in a specific channel, you'll have an ellipsis option menu to the right of the file name. There are several things that you can do with the file, including open it in its native application. For example, if it's a Word document, it would open right up in Word, that software in your computer. What's nice about this is that Word will know that it's saved in SharePoint and keep it updated by uploading any changes you make to the file automatically. Additionally, like I mentioned before, several people can have it open at the same time. I just find it easier to work out of the Word or Excel that I'm accustomed to using with all of the settings that are available to me. Microsoft 365 and the power of cloud technology make that possible. So coming soon. There are some additions that are coming in the near term to Teams that I wanted to highlight, but this technology is going through explosive growth. As it's proven so valuable to organizations across the globe, Microsoft is heavily investing in this space. I mentioned some additional PowerPoint functions earlier in the presentation. This is 2 slides on an upcoming update to how your Teams meetings can use PowerPoint slides called PowerPoint Live. It has a presenter view that gives you all of the tools to present confidently with full control over your content. The view you see as the presenter is yours only. Review notes, engage in chats, and see your audience, all in one panel view. This private view allows the presenters to see everything in one place, while the audience sees only the active slide. If you have co-presenters, they can seamlessly take control and instantly get access to the presenter view as well. Control can also easily be shared between any number of presenters, so no more fumbling around during the presentation to give control to someone else. The new presenter mode helps you feel like you're in the room together. Presenter mode is the latest innovation in Microsoft Teams that empowers you to customize how your video feed and content appears to the audience. Seeing the speaker can reduce the cognitive overload for your audience, since they can read your nonverbal cues and stay more focused with you as their visual guide. Presenter mode is a great companion to PowerPoint Live and Teams that makes your presentation immersive and engaging. This will begin to roll out to customers soon, and you can bet that you'll be seeing in forthcoming Arctic IT presentations. Microsoft continues to bring the power of SharePoint into Teams, news, pages, and lists. And now there's an all-new files experience in the File tab of the channel. This includes the ability to sync files to your computer, be it a PC or a Mac, to see rich previews across 320 plus file types when using a thumbnail view. It creates views and works with metadata. You can see document life cycles, review on hover file cards, pin files to the top, and much more. This is the kind of stuff that keeps teams interesting, and in my estimation, it's an amazing way to collaborate in the cloud. All right, I wanted to leave you folks with some links for homework. I'm going to send these out to you folks as an after action for this meeting, as they leave you with some videos and articles that you can review on the points that I've made. Arctic IT also stands at the ready to be of service in these tools, or if any of these tools are of interest to you, or if you might have some ideas on how you'd like to use it in your particular use case. As you might imagine, there's much more I could say on the topic, but I've only booked you folks for so long. And I'm hoping my brief chat about collaborating using Microsoft 365's robust set of tools has inspired some thought. I'm sure for many of you, this is not the first time you've heard of Microsoft 365, but I'm hoping this presentation has encouraged some more ideas on how to put it into use for your team. So with that, I'm going to kick my camera back on and see if anyone's got any questions for me.
Thank you, Andre. It looks like we do have some questions, so let me read them aloud. The first one is, one difference I find between Teams and, hold on just a second, I need to expand this. And Outlook is that Teams search and archiving functions are subpar compared to Outlook. Are there plans to upgrade that function? If someone sends me a document in Teams, I have to scroll back through the conversation to find it days or sometimes weeks later.
So there is a lot of search terms that you can use in that universal chat that'll allow you to either search for a specific date that you're looking for. Yeah, but you would need to know some of the search terminology, like something that was said during that chat in order to be able to find stuff. Maybe we can take that offline, because I do find that there's all kinds of little fun little words that you can put previous to your search. For example, I'm thinking of sent, comma, and then the date that you think that you may have had that conversation, and it'll bring up in the chat, in the search, anything that you may have sent on a specific day.
Okay, thank you. And then when will the reporter version be available on Teams?
I know, I'm excited too. I'm actually not sure. They said that it's rolling out right now, but isn't it neat? It uses that same technology to clip you out that you can use to change your background, and it pops you right into the corner of PowerPoint. Now I assume you got to set up your PowerPoint deck so that there's a small area that you're not going to be covering up the content that you put on your PowerPoint slide, but. Yeah, I'm looking forward to it too. It says it's rolling out, so I assume within the next month or so we'll all get to play around with it.
Great. As a reminder, please use that questions box or chat, either one, and we'll be happy to read your questions aloud. And if we do need to take it offline because it's a longer answer and he really wants to show the demonstration, we can do that also.
Yeah, Brooke, maybe you can share who asked that question about the search stuff, because I do have some links that I'd like to share. Like I said, after this meeting, I will be sending out a message to everyone who attended to send you the links that I kind of flashed on the screen there for a moment that nobody had the chance to jot down. And so that, as well as Brooke has made a handout available right here in the meeting that we've got right now called the Teams Quick Start Guide. I'll also be sending a link to that if you can't download it right now, if you're joining us from a mobile phone or something. What that is a PDF that has a lot of the settings and what all the buttons do on Teams. There's certainly some information there. For those of you that are Arctic IT clients, as this is a client-focused webinar, feel free to engage with your account manager. We'd love to do a whole nother slew of information and take it as deep as you like to be able to demonstrate it to your teammates. I wanted to say teams and then it would sound anyway, your organization. So we're here for you. Please feel free to use your account manager for that purpose.
Thank you, Andre. We also have a survey at the end of the presentation. If you could fill that out, it just helps us with future webinars. And there is a question about that on the survey about whether you want additional training. So please let us know and we'll we'll give you a call after.
Yeah, we'd be glad to coordinate that.
I'm not seeing any other questions so far.
Yeah, I'm sorry it was just brief and to the point, but we only had a little bit of time, and I wanted to make sure I showed you some of the good stuff and what that mind shift is of keeping stuff all siloed up in your emails and working really collaboratively as a team in one of those persistent bulletin boards. There's a lot of cool integrations that you can put into Teams with lots of fun, additional project management components, calendars, anything that you can really think of. So we're glad to help you organize that if we can be of support.
Well, I'm not seeing any more questions, so I don't know if we want to end a little early or if there's any final thoughts, Andre.
Yeah, we can give folks 4 minutes back, but really, my only takeaway is going to be please feel free to utilize Arctic IT as a thought leader for helping to use these technologies so that your team can be more collaborative and use these cloud tools to further your organization. So thank you very much, and with that, I'll leave everyone, and I hope that everyone has a great Wednesday.
Thank you, Andre. Bye-bye.
Bye bye.